waiting to see if it... Oh, I am live. Welcome everyone to my very first live stream. Now keep in mind, if you're here, I'm not really sure what I'm doing, but I'm doing my best here. I've got my computer tucked away here, and today I'm just testing out my whole setup here. I'm going to be planning a bunch of future, like a nutritional tip walkthroughs and workshops, lectures, cooking. And I'm focusing on healthy cooking for the family, some practical stuff. And I'm also going to be diving into fermentation, which is what we have today. Now, I've got this set up here. I've got my overhead camera so I can show you. Today, we're going to be making a lovely sauerkraut. And also, I'm going to be testing out my abilities to make a sourdough starter, as right now the family loves bread. And I keep making some toast with butter and it smells amazing. However, I know bread's not the most optimal nutritional substance, especially the processed stuff, and some of the ingredients I'm a bit cringeworthy because, you know, I'm all about nutrition. So I want to make it healthy as possible, right? So if this experiment works out today, then I will be using this footage today. I'm rolling. And I also got this little side camera here, which is actually just my iPad, as you can tell. And it kind of makes me feel like I'm at a laboratory here. But anyways, back to me. And yeah, so I'm going to be making a sourdough starter as well, which is actually very simple. And again, if any of these experiments work out, then I'm going to be condensing these into actual videos and publishing them on the channel. So stay tuned for that. But today, let's just have some fun. Let's dig into this. Now, I have some instruction guidelines here. This is very casual. Again, just testing things out. And sorry if look like I'm not paying attention. I am, but I just want to make sure I'm watching the stream here, as again, this is my very first time doing so, and I want to make sure things are working if anyone is here. So yeah, let's see what happens. Okay, so today I'm going to be making the sauerkraut first. Now, this is a laugh right here. Okay, so check this out. This jar was my very first attempt. Let me go up here. So as you can see, it doesn't look too good, but that was my first attempt. Let me open up this jar here. Yeah. How does it smell? This has been like 3 or 4 weeks in now, but let me just show you inside the jar. It's a little brown. Now, it doesn't actually smell bad. Let me see if I can get another visual here for you. Yeah. Let me go back to my main cam. Okay, so yeah, like I said. Oh, hello. It's bubbling, so I guess that's doing something good. But yeah, it doesn't smell bad, really. It doesn't look good, though. And now I've been reading about fermentation. When making sauerkraut or any fermented vegetables, you want to use fresh vegetables. And I bought this cabbage on a discount because it was on sale, and it was a little brownie, so mistake number 1 right there if you're making sauerkraut. But right here today, I just went and got some of this cabbage right here. And let me start chopping. It's a bit more fresh. Again, pretty crisp, not terrible looking. So let's get into this here. So let me go like so. I'm just checking. It looks like I am the only one here, I think. Now, again, I'm learning right now. This will get smooth in the future, but I do see it says 1 person. I am not very knowledgeable with what I'm doing. I'm going to send a sticker here. Sure, I wish I could see. Oh, participants, here we go. Oh, yeah, it's just me. Okay, so anyways, let's begin the sauerkraut. So the first thing you want to do actually is before you chop up your sauerkraut, yeah, your cabbage, you want to take a leaf off. Now this is going to be the term for this one. I have it written down. Again, I'm still new to this whole fermentation thing, but you want to take a leaf off, and that is called your, I'm just going to call it a topper, but what did they call it? They called it wash, yeah, chop, place in a large bowl, pound, follower. It's called a follower, and that is the cap on the top. So basically, let me cut up here. I'm having a lot of fun with this, pressing buttons and such. But yeah, so just take a leaf off before you chop it all up, and that's going to be your follower now that I've memorized that term, okay? So we're gonna take that off and come back to me here so I can talk to y'all. And I'm just gonna put this on the side. And that you're gonna cap on top. What jar was I using? I think I'm planning on using this. But yeah, you put all your compressed cabbage in there, then you put your topper, your follower on to top it, and that'll keep everything under the brine, which is the liquid that comes out from the cabbage, to keep it anaerobic. Another term I learned, which just means that it's not getting oxygen, like it's buried in the water, non-oxygenized and not floating around above the brine, because you want it all to stay in there so it'll ferment beautifully. So again, I'm rambling. So again, I am going to start by chopping this cabbage. And from what I know so far is you want to chop it. Let me just cut this here. You want to chop your cabbage so that it's all even and fairly small, I guess. I guess that's kind of up to me. So my decision today, I will figure out how I'm going to do that. But I'm going to chop this, and I'm just going to try to chop it as evenly as possible, as stated in everything I've read so far. So let's do that, okay? Welcome all. Looks like I am still maybe the only one here. Lonely man today. Any participants coming in? Not. That's okay. Yeah. Anyways, cool. Let me just get this going. Sorry if I'm distracted. Again, this is a test run here. So I'm going to be making a lot of fun things in the future. Here, I'm going to be cooking here with my son relatively close. He wants to make a Shinkansen onigiri, which if you don't know what Shinkansen is, I'll start there. Basically, it's a bullet train here in Japan. And yeah, Shinkansen is just what it's called. The Japanese word for bullet train, I think. Okay, so far it looks like I'm slicing fairly even. Now, I don't know if that's small enough, but it's even at least. Now I'm going to be just tossing this there over into my little bowl here, keeping my space a little clean. I hope y'all can hear me. Looks like my mic is on. Again, if there's any technical issues, please let me know in the chat, and I'll try to fix as I go. But in the meantime, I'm just going to be chopping. And again, I'm recording all this footage here, so if this does work out, I'll give you all the specific ratios and procedures that I'm following here, but going like this. But yeah, so chopping away. I'm making this sauerkraut. I'm really getting into fermentation here. It's like I'm all about gut bacteria. You know, I've still studied nutrition quite thoroughly now, and I do recognize the health benefits of some good probiotics, prebiotics, fibers. You got to get all that healthy gut activated. Folks, that is important. Your gut health is number one for your entire body's health. And I'm not just saying that lightly. That is the truth. If your gut's not healthy, then you can't get the nutrients into your body and absorbed, and everything else is going to shut down. So you want to chop this cabbage well, and it looks like I chopped that a bit more than this stuff here. Again, my table's not the biggest. So let me just do this. Yeah, I think this is not, well, yeah, rambling here. I'm trying to think and talk, but I'm having fun. So yeah, and then the onigiri, I'm going back to that. Now what am I doing? Yeah, the onigiri that my son and I are going to be making live. It's just a really fun way to get your kids to eat healthy food. It's basically what I call a rice sandwich. You'll be seeing that more in the near future, but we're going to have fun, test out this live again, and make it for a future picnic. Healthy picnic food. Okay, so there's my chopped cabbage so far. Not looking terrible, and it looks semi-even. So let me continue on with the other quarter of the cabbage I have here, and let me go like so I can talk to you for a minute. Okay, so again, fermented foods, all about the gut health here, chopping up my cabbage. But yeah, I'm going to be really focusing on fermentation. My goals with this channel here is to share this journey along with you and share how I'm going to be taking my nutritional knowledge which I'll be sharing in other videos with you about gut health and all that, and showing you practical uses and ways that you can actually put it to practice. Now, I find a lot of times I can tell you, oh, you got to do this for your gut. You got to do this. You need to eat this. And, you know, what I really want to do is bridge the gap between nutritional knowledge and the action and the practicality of actually implementing it into your life in a way that's fun and tasty. So that's part of my spiel today. And let me get this. I'm getting a lot of more cabbage in here, and my cutting technique is getting refined quite a bit. But you know what? I think I bought 2 cabbages here, and I might just stop after I finish with this one here and save the other one for maybe a nice salad tomorrow, because I got a pretty small jar here as my tester, and I got a lot of cabbage here. So I might just have to get another jar, but I used my other main jar over there for my first failed attempt. But anyways, it might not be a failure. This, although it doesn't look very good, it could taste beautiful. So we'll see. Yeah, so I don't know where I left off, but yeah, I'm going to be sharing more about the gut health, more about fermentation. And again, the most basic fermentation you can do from what I've studied so far is a basic sauerkraut, and a sourdough starter is what I'm going to be making after this as well. So I'll be doing that. Sourdough starter is another super basic one, but yeah, anywho. I'm going to be chopping. Let me cut back to this camera, chopping away. And yeah, if I can, once I figure out these recipes, I'll share them with you, more details. And I'm going to be moving on to the next ferment, which I'm real excited about. I will share that with you in a sec. Let me just transfer this cabbage here over into my lovely bowl. Okay, so transferring over. Doing that. And again, if you are viewing this stream, feel free to say hello in the chat. My fingers are a little bit messy, but if I'm not responding, I appreciate it, and I will be reading it and responding on the latter moments. Okay, so anyways, I think I've done well enough. The first step here is to chop up your cabbage to even, and I feel like this is fairly even. Up to you. What do you think? It's this might be too big. I really don't know. Again, I've never successfully done this before, and I have not really seen much examples. I like to just try and see what happens. So bear with me, folks. I need to go rinse this cabbage now quickly. To one thing I'm noticing, I say a lot. Now during my test, I will continue to try to get rid of that. Okay, so I'm going to go rinse this cabbage real quick. Now, I did give it kind of a pre-wash, but I always like to rinse after it's been chopped, because I can just kind of get more into the nitty-gritty. Now, I don't have a sink here, so I am going to be in my little kitchen nook here. I don't know if you can see me. You should be able to hear me. No, sorry, my kitchen's a little messy. I don't know if you can see me, but I'm just going to be here. It would be pretty awesome, actually, if you could. Now, I just made a bone broth, and I have a big pot here full of water soaking bone broth. If there's one thing about it, is washing afterwards is a hefty task. So let me do one more final rinse on this cabbage here. Okay, so yeah, you always want to wash your veggies. Forgive me if you are just joining and seeing me rinsing cabbage. Again, I did pre-wash, but I always wash after it's been chopped and such. And I just realized I'm going to need a big bowl here to do the next step of this. But just to recap, for those of you also trying to make a basic sauerkraut, just get yourself a cabbage. Sorry for the water noise here. Get yourself a good cabbage, fresh, crisp leaves, and you want to take that and chop it up evenly. And that's all I have done so far. But before you chop it, again, you want to take your topping piece, your follower is what it's called, so you can seal it all in your jar afterwards. And keep one good leaf for that. And speaking of, okay, so I've rinsed that cabbage. Now, when I usually wash veggies, I usually put it in a big bowl of water first and put some sea salt, let it soak, and that apparently kills pesticides much more effectively. As well as even you can just put some vinegar in there and let it soak in the vinegar for a while. You can do that, but I don't know if you can actually see me in there. I see there's not anyone here. Still just me. Now I'm going to take this and wash my leaf one more time, just because I'm in the process of doing so. And then when you're washing veggies, I also heard rubbing them, giving them a nice little massage actually helps friction to get rid of more pesticides. But I'm about to share with you one beautiful tip that I read. I've never scientifically tested this theory, but apparently when you do ferment your vegetables, the bacteria gets all eaten up, including pesticides. So even if there is some still pesticide residue on there, then you're still going to be fermenting it away, which is awesome. Now, I'm in my kitchen, and my apologies, I forgot to get a big bowl, which I seem to be lacking, and I'm going to need something to be pounding this in. So what can I use here? This pot would be great, but I don't have it. That was a foresight unseen. Okay, that's fine. That is fine. I did wash this pot pretty well, so I'm just going to use that. Look at that. What I was just complaining about turned out to be a good benefit. Okay, so let me do that. Empty that water. I did give it a good rinse. Here. Let me just seep my fingers in there one last time. This is actually a perfect pot for pounding, so that works in my favor. Now, I washed it very well, but as it is bone broth, it was a bit oily. And let me just do one more quick soak. Okay. And the next step in this whole fermentation process here is literally pounding or massaging in the salt to the cabbage. And that there is going to be, what that's going to do is it's going to start breaking down the cell walls of the cabbage and releasing the water from there. And that water that's extracted from the cabbage is going to end up forming and making our brine. And the brine is the liquid that comes from the veggies that is going to be used to cover them during the fermentation process and building up this lovely, good bacteria. Okay, so I am very glad I have this pot today, and I have this towel, and I have your company. Okay, so let me just dry that. Dry this pot to some degree. All right. So again, I'm pretty stoked about this whole journey ahead. Okay, so here we go. Welcome back from my kitchen. Now I'm gonna have to use the floor for that. Okay, no worries there. Now I got this big old pot here. Welcome back to my table. Do I have any guests now? No, I don't. Okay, just me. So the next step, less pressure, hey? So wash and chop evenly, place into a large bowl, add massage salt. Yeah, okay, cool. So let's take all this chopped cabbage and now add it to my bowl. Let me go to this overhead here. May as well center the pot in the shot. And let's add this lovely chopped up cabbage. Now I hope this is chopped up well enough for what I'm about to be doing, but regardless, I'm about to be pounding it away, and it's going to be shriveling up from all of this salt that I'm going to be adding to it as well. Now, if this works, I'm going to have a lot of sauerkraut, which is great. And once I figure out the main formula, I'm going to be adding some flavorings to it and having a good old time, making some tasty goods. All right, feeding the family's guts, feeding my guts, and getting our health optimized. Okay, so more on that later, folks. I got lots of gut health theory to share with you. And yeah, okay. So let me get back to this main cam here. I'm having so much fun. This is great. If only I had an audience. Okay, so basically what I need to do, what I should have done, is I need to find out my salt ratio. Now, folks, here's the formula. However many grams of cabbage you're going to be using to ferment, you want to add about 2 to 3% of that weight of salt. And I forgot to weigh this pot to figure out how much cabbage I actually have. Okay, something to keep in mind, folks. This is the reality of learning things. You make mistakes. So let me go back. Let me show you something hopefully interesting. So you want to weigh this now. Okay, so let me just get the scale. I have a food scale here and a messy counter. Okay, so there's some cabbage in there, but basically I just want to figure out how much this pot by itself weighs without the cabbage. And then once I add the cabbage, I'll rescale it and figure out how that goes. Okay, so on, off, tray, on, off. Lovely. I think my fingers are too wet for my scale to work here. That's okay. Oh, there we go. It's alive. Okay, let me move this once more. And once it figures itself out, okay, so it's at 0 grams. And how much does this pot weigh? Let me go like so. And E, error. That's how prepared I am, hey? Let's go like this. Maybe if I turn it off and turn it on with the pot. Okay, good. I'm at 0 grams. I don't know if you can see it, but there it is. Okay, so now let's find out how much weight of cabbage I have here today. Bum, butter, bum. And I'm making a mess. That's okay. I can clean up later. How much cabbage do I have? So I have 122. That's definitely not right. It says minus in front of it. This is a coffee scale, folks. I don't have a proper food scale. I guess I should have, eh? Okay. The tools. This is why I usually edit. Okay, so let me do this. New method. Let me go like so. Okay, off. Let me use this. It's far lighter. Okay, I might have to do this in batches. So I am just trying to simply find out how much cabbage I have. So 116 grams. I wonder if this thing caps out at like 1,000. Maybe. Yes, so it just restarted. Oh no, that's in the 400s now. Good. We're getting there, we're getting there. Okay, so what am I at now? 500, I'm almost at 500 grams of cabbage. Not too shabby. 500 grams of good old future sauerkraut. Okay. 60. Oh, I lost you. Okay. 623 is where I'm at right now. 623 grams of cabbage. Okay. 626. Now let me grab a couple more bits here. Maybe I can get an even 630. 628, no. 630. Okay, that's somewhat even. So I'm at 630 grams of cabbage. Now, I do not want to forget that. 630. Okay. 630. Let me get my calculator. Because what I need now is the proper ratio of salt. So, do I have a pen? This is why you do testing. So you actually learn how to do this. Okay, so 630. And I don't have my calculator with me. Another thing I failed to prepare, but that's, again, also okay. So here we go. I'm back at you to change things up for a second. So 630 I am at. And now I know how much cabbage I have. I'm going to add it to my mashing device pot here. 630. I didn't max out my food scale that time. That's great. 630 I'm just repeating that number so I don't forget it. I'm sure people who have made sauerkraut before, if they ever end up watching this, are like, my goodness, I would have been done a long time ago now. But anyways, beginner. Okay, let me put that there. 6:30. Okay, and now I need to find my phone, which should be somewhere around here. And it would be nice to have dry hands, but that's not what it is at this point. Okay, so 6:30. I had my phone right before I did this. I would love a calculator. 6:30. Where are you, phone? There you are. Okay, and dry hands I would also love. So sorry, I'm back in my kitchen corner here for just a moment. 6:30, 6:30. Okay. So I'm going to do my calculation now. So calculator time. See how much salt I need. 6:30. And calculator. All right. 630 times 0.025 equals 15.75 grams of salt. So that's 2.5% ratio of cabbage to salt. So let me do that up now. All right, the hard part of that is done. So now let me switch over to, there's our cabbage, like so, all chopped. Hopefully that works. Okay, so I was somewhat prepared, and I brought this cute little bowl here for my salt. So I need 15.75 because, again, that would be 2.5% cabbage ratio to salt. Now today I'm going to be using this Eden Celtic sea salt. Now this is some good high mineral stuff, although it's like 2 years old, I believe. I bought this a long time ago, but it's still salt. I don't think salt goes bad. Scientists help me out. Okay, so I need 15.75 grams of this stuff. Okay, so let me get that going. 15.75 grams. How many scoops is that? Oh, that's 4. Okay, let's do this. 7. I'm getting there. I love having ratios. That way you don't really have to follow a specific recipe every single time. I like to have the flexibility to know, like, hey, I got this much cabbage. So I'm at 15.9. I think a little bit more salt is still fine. Okay, look at that. 2 ingredients. All right, so there we go. There's my salt. Sorry, the light doesn't quite go up there. But yeah, there's the salt. All right. So we have our cabbage and our salt. The only 2 ingredients we're going to need, which is great. I can get rid of this scale here. For now, luckily I have a shelf. Okay, folks, let's do this up. Now the next step is literally, you're going to put your pot right there. Let's go overhead. Get your pot there. Look at this messy, awesome table. Get your salt, and you're basically just want to add that into it and massage it well, thoroughly. Okay, so my hands are yet again about to be messy. Now, before I do that, I'm just going to check my computer. And one more time, see if there's anyone here. Oh, I do have a participant. Welcome. I'm just going to say welcome to whoever's in there in the chat. If you're there, you are the first one here, and this is my very first live stream. My participant says just me. Maybe that's not working well. Let me know how the stream is going for you. If you can hear me, if you can see me, and yeah, let me know any suggestions for future things that you want to learn about gut health, probiotics, or whatever, or fermentation. Again, I'm going to be learning how to make, let me just cut back to this so I can start massaging. Okay, my hand is about to massage the salt thoroughly into this cabbage. You want to mix it well, and that is going to start to break down the cabbage, the cell walls of the cabbage, and then it's going to start extracting the water from the cabbage as well. Let me move this so it looks a little bit better on the table, arranging as I go. Might as well do something with my time here. But yeah, so this is just going to start breaking down the cabbage with the salt, extracting the liquids from it, and softening the cabbage as well. All right, so doing that. And you're supposed to do this for, what time do I have now? So that's at 31. You're supposed to let it sit for about 10 minutes after you massage. Okay, I can already feel the liquid accumulating here, and that is going to be the base of my brine. All that liquid. Now it might have a little bit of collagen in there from any leftover bone broth residue due to my lack of bowl mashing preparation. That's okay, but you can already see, you might not be able to tell, but the texture of this cabbage really is changing. And it's kind of wilting away, withering away here. Yeah, so step one is working. Now I'm getting a little bit sore, which is good. This is a good little workout here. I'm getting my afternoon fist squeezing stress release. Okay, so I feel like I've massaged that well enough, and I can already tell that the texture of this cabbage is definitely changing. All right, so look at this gunky. Yeah, okay. Anywho, that's what it is, and that's my hand, like so. I'll just show you. Oh, it definitely smells like cabbage. It smells different in here now. Okay, so that's doing that. It smells like cabbage still. Okay, so now I gotta let that sit for about 10 minutes or so, apparently. And while that is doing that, I am going to clean up some bits of cabbage here and let that do its thing. And then we're gonna be getting into the mashing, and we're almost done with this. So I'm just doing this for the sake of cleanliness, keeping the station somewhat cleaned, because I have 10 minutes to wait. Yeah, roughly anyways. And yeah, so just to recap here, I said again, look at that. Basically, you get your cabbage, you chop it evenly, but before chopping, you take your topping piece off, follower, and then you scale your cabbage, find out how many grams of it you have, and then you multiply the amount of grams of cabbage that you used by 0.025 to find 2.5% of that weight in salt. You add that salt to the cabbage, and then you massage it like I just did, and that's where we're at. And you will have this lovely bowl of cabbage kind of doing its thing there while we're at it. So we got that going on. I got a bunch of cabbage here that I'm just cleaning up. Luckily, it doesn't seem to have fallen off the front of my table. Now, the next step is going to be the mashing. And basically, you want to mash it up even more. Find a tool that you can bash it along with. I have a wooden stick here. That should do the trick. Apparently, anything will work. So anything that you can bash cabbage with will do the trick. And you want to make sure that you mash it around fairly well, because you want the cabbage to extract more water and be softened up quite a bit more before you start the fermentation process. So doing that up, and what else do I got here? I don't think I need to make my hands messy anymore, which is great. I'm cleaning this up. But yeah, what do you think? The the technology here is all working, which is great. The set, I would love. I have so many more visions to brighten it up a bit, make it more decorative, make it more fun and playful, but this is what I got so far. I got some artwork from my son. I got a picture that was just on the wall. Here, this is the space I have for my studio, and I'm digging it so far. upgrading as I go. But anyways, there's my garbage cleanup. I don't think I need to strain anymore. I'm just gonna go rinse my hand. As you can see here, it's a bit salty and cabbagey. So I'm gonna quickly go rinse that off and pop this over here in the sink, by the sink. Rinse this hand, get it dry so I have function here. Now, I'm not sure. I'm curious to check out if I can actually see when I'm in the kitchen here, but it's messy in there, so I'm gonna get out of there. Turn off the light, hopefully hide it a bit better. Okay, so I'm just looking down here, seeing what's going on. I got 2 likes. That's fun. Thank you, whoever liked this video and live stream test. Okay, where am I at here? 36. So it's been about 4.5 minutes. I'm going to talk to you about what's coming up next. So basically, once I figure out how this sauerkraut works, I'm actually really stoked. I love sauerkraut. And a lot of times, like in the stores, it might not actually be proper sauerkraut. You're not actually getting all the bacteria you need from it because it's not properly fermented and all that stuff. So you want to, if you can do it at home, good on you. Good for your gut, good bacteria. Okay. And yeah, so after I've mastered the sauerkraut, I'm going to be sharing a really condensed tutorial for you guys. That's not so much rambling here live. And then I'm going to be, let me just take a look at this. Okay, I'm going to be doing this sourdough. I'm going to be making a sourdough starter immediately after this. So if you're still there, stick around for that. And the sourdough starter is honestly going to take like 5 minutes. It's super easy. Well, it sounds super easy. I've never done it before, but once you have a sourdough starter, you can use that to bake whatever muffins, bread, pancakes, whatever you want. And like the more bacteria, the more fermentation you can add into your cooking, the better. Feeding your gut and actually the bacteria. Like sourdough bread is probably the healthiest bread, I would say, because you're getting all the bacteria in there. Okay, sorry I'm rambling, but then I'm gonna go on to the next one I wanna do is kefir or kefir. Please, if you're watching and you know actually how to say that, let me know. But yeah, I'm gonna be learning how to make kefir and sharing with you how to go about doing that. And then I wanna get into some flavorings of that. But my son, he loves milk and dairy, and if I can get him more probiotics in there, I will do so and still give him his dairy fix or his creamy fix at least. But let me take a look at this status of the cabbage here. So that's where it is, still doing its thing. Hopefully that's focusing. It looks like it's kind of glitching out a little bit, but that's where we're at so far. Maybe if I move it back down a little bit, it'll catch better focus. But yeah, there's our cabbage kind of doing its thing, but you can tell it is kind of shriveling up there. That salt is doing its job. Okay, and now I do see I need to wait another like 4 minutes or so. So let me just take this opportunity. If you are watching, again, this channel here is, well, who am I? Who is this random man rambling here? I am Kyle, obviously, but yeah, I've been a health junkie, I guess you could say, for pretty much most of my life. I started my life not knowing anything about nutrition, anything about health. Um, yeah, I was overweight. I was not mentally well, not lots of things going on there, but yeah, lots of just health issues in general. And I soon made the switch to just trying little nutritional upgrades in my life. Like again, I just read a book. I had no idea where to even get started. I tried changing my diet first, which made a huge difference. I started exercising. I did all that stuff, and then before I knew it, like everything just got better. My mind got better, my health got better, my body was changing, and just everything was improved. And ever since then, I just decided like what I ate made the biggest difference overall. So I just stuck with that a lot, focused on that. And now I've actually studied functional nutrition, which is basically just understanding how everything in the body is connected and how food and what you eat and your environment affects your detox abilities, your liver, your heart, your brain. Everything is connected, right? So you learn how food manages those connections, upgrades and changes. And yeah, you get really deep into nutrition. So I've studied functional nutrition. I've gotten that, and now I just want to share as much knowledge as I can with people and just make it practical and fun for everyone. So, anyways, with this channel, I want to use as an outlet to give you practical and fun nutrition advice and show with you how you can use it and what kind of food you can make. So, I am doing this obviously right now, but yeah, so I am also, I have a son, and um, yeah, I want to feed and nurture his nourishment as best as I can. And I know a lot of kids don't seem to like healthy options as the first choice, but I'm hopefully going to be changing that with him, and I just want to feed him as much healthy foods as possible, make him treats that are healthy, make him the food he wants to eat, but just make it nutritionally. So I'm trying to combine my nutrition knowledge with the art of cooking. And my wife also likes to eat healthy, and the most important thing is she likes things that taste good. So I'm going to be trying to learn how to do that, because I'm more of just like, I can eat that. It's good for me. I'll just eat it, whatever. But flavor is soon becoming a big aspect of my life. So anyways, if you are on this channel and you wish to learn healthy kid stuff, I'm going to be sharing that. If you want to learn healthy cooking, I'm going to be sharing that. If you want to learn fermentation, I'm going to be sharing my journey of learning fermentation, all the simplest ways you can do it at home. And I'm going to be sharing just nutrition advice. I'll be doing live lectures, Q&As, all that kind of stuff here. And I'm just checking out this. Okay, so that's all good. But this has now been sitting for, I'd say, about 10 minutes. I'm going to get my tool, this wooden stick here. Let's start pounding the cabbage. Now, in my instructions here, I'm just going to say pound. Okay, well, I'm pretty much there. So let me get that going on here. So let me get my stick and just start pounding. Now, I've never done this stage before. My last batch of sauerkraut, I did not do this. Now, another tip that I heard was you can get, if you have like a motorized mixing bowl, you can do that as well, and put like the pounding paddle on there and put your cabbage in and let it do its thing. But apparently you're supposed to do this for a good couple minutes as well. So where's my timer? I'm at 42. I've been doing this stream here. But yeah, I'm apparently going to be doing this for a couple minutes. But yeah, the next thing, after we do this, you can see there's that liquid coming up in there too. And that's going to be the brine, which is solid. And that's what we're trying to do at this stage. You're trying to extract as much water as you can from the cabbage. And then that is going to seep into your jar. And that is going to be your brine to soak and create an anaerobic environment, which again is oxygen-free environment for all of that bacteria to grow. Now this is looking pretty good, actually. Now I hope my focus is doing, yeah, autofocus doesn't seem to work terribly well sometimes, especially in like a deep bowl. But I think as long as you can see green, you know that I'm mashing cabbage. All right, so we're doing that. Now, hopefully, again, as I said, if this does work out successfully, I've got all this footage to make an actual condensed video for you guys, so you can learn all of this in like 2 minutes rather than the hour that I'm going to be here today. But again, once I get more into the flow of this whole live thing, I'm going to be reviewing this stream in particular for any ways that I can improve and get better at this, because I want to share with you guys a lot more, including this sourdough starter I'll be making next. Because once you have a starter, you have the culture that you can make whatever you want. I'm going to be making, the first thing is just a loaf of bread. I'm starting out with the most utter basics that I can here. So I'm going to be making a sourdough loaf of bread so that I can have a nice treat of some nice, delicious butter toast. Now, it'll be it'll be wheat-free. I'm using a rye flour for this. Now, I don't know about all you guys on the whole gluten-free thing or the whole wheat-free thing. I just know that if I can make a wheat-free, then I'll try that first, and then get into gluten-free if I can. With me, I've never really noticed any negative feelings or sensations after eating gluten, and especially if you're eating a sourdough fermented version. I feel like I'm going to be sharing a lot more about gluten. Actually, there's a lot of interesting research on how the negative effects of gluten. Now, I know there is inflammatory issues with that, okay? I'm not going to get around that. And for some people, it's more severe than others, for sure, and it affects different parts of the body as well. But through fermented sourdough, you're getting so much benefits. You just want to weigh the benefits. Like sourdough is going to provide you goodness, and throughout the fermentation, the gluten won't be as reactive. And apparently, again, sidetracking, I got to learn how to deal with that issue too. But what I've been getting into more as science-wise is the negative effects that a lot of people feel that may lead them to think they're gluten sensitive is not particularly the gluten only, okay? So the wheat products that are used contain, like through processing, they add other preservatives or other aspects to the grains that do lead to the negative health issues that people may think is only from the gluten. Like there's yeah. Anyways, I'll be sharing that in another video, more condensed, the war on gluten, to see how that goes. But anyways, I'm gonna be doing that, rambling on gluten. But yeah, sourdough is just so good, and I love butter bread. And if I can eat the healthiest version, and I know my family's gonna eat butter bread continuously because they love it, so I might as well use what I can of my knowledge to make them the best version of what they like and provide that, and as well as enjoy it myself. Now look at this, is definitely mashing well. I don't know how long I've been doing this for, but I can see there's a ton more water and good brine in this pot now with this lovely cabbage. Okay, and mixing this up. Now again, if you are watching with me, I'm in the process of making an experimental, very most basic version of sauerkraut that I can. And I've never done this before, but fermentation, again, is something I wish to learn because I have struggled with digestive health issues for most of my life, most likely because I started my life eating a lot of processed foods, and I had no idea about nutrition at all, and I did not take care of my gut at a young age. Maybe that led to these issues, but now that I'm knowledgeable and an adult, I want to feed as much good bacteria as I can and share with you how to do so at home as well. So I'm making a sauerkraut as it's the very first, most basic fermentation that one can do. And I'm just going to look at you for a second and switch things up a bit. And yeah, so sauerkraut, one of the most basic things you can do for fermentation at home. And I'm doing this whole process right now to share with you, if it works successfully, how you can easily do so at home as well. And I'm getting some solid brine coming out of this cabbage, which is awesome. Okay, and then I'm also going to be making a very simple sourdough starter with this using rye flour instead of wheat flour. See if it works. Again, if these become successful, then I'll be sharing with you the entire process condensed. If they fail, I will be retrying and figuring out how to actually make it work before I share the process with you further. And this is a complete live test. I've never been live before. I just got this whole stuff set up now. So first time doing this. I'm just doing this as a casual test run. So casual, I didn't even shave. Yeah, not that I had time to do that today. I'm a very busy day today. And the day is not done. But if you're in the chat, I'd love to see if you can say hello. Let me know if the stream is working. Seems to be. Okay, and yeah, let me cut back to this. Okay, so I think this is good. I've pounded enough of this cabbage. It's full of water in this pot. We're doing good. We're okay. So yeah, we chopped the cabbage evenly. We took that follower leaf on top. I've now pounded this. I massaged salt into it, done all the ratio measurements. And actually through pounding this, I'm getting a lot of these big core chunks softened. I'm kind of targeting those. mixing that salt in here a bit better. This already is great. And again, when you're doing this, you want to use fresh cabbage, fresh crisp leaves. And the book I'm reading right now, which I can't seem to recall the title of it. I read too many books always, but this one is Fermentation. What was it called? Jeez, I need to share that. But anyways, yeah, so the book said, yeah, you want to take the vegetables that you're fermenting as if you're about to make a salad. You want it to be that fresh. But okay, I have pounded that cabbage well into a good liquidy brine. And now I have this jar here, which I'm going to be filling up with the cabbage. That is the next step, right? Yeah, let me get back to here. Hello. And I'm going to put my phone back over here because I do not need that. And I am going to do that down, press down, 2 weeks. Oh yeah, it's going to take about sit, yeah, pound, pack tight. All right, I'm at the packing stage, finally. So I got this jar, which I did boil ahead of time. Apparently, if you sterilize it, that's a better way to go. So sterilization, in terms of sterilizing, literally just boil it for about 10 minutes. I boiled this for maybe 4 because, again, I was quite busy. And that's pretty much all you need to worry about. Okay, boiling it. And then apparently if you really need to dig in there, then you can use some citric acid with your boiling water. Yeah, so I got this here. Did I prepare a scooper? I have. Okay, so the point of this stage here is you want to make my camera look cool from up top, reposition a few things here. All right. Yeah, you just want to pack your cabbage into your fermentation vessel. Now let me, oh, look at that. Look at this, folks. Okay, so I got this nice pounded cabbage and it is just dripping. Look at all that brine we pounded out of there. That's fantastic. Okay, let me just show you the final result here. Let me get that spoon out of the way so maybe my focus won't be so, there we go. I got a motorbike, but look at that liquid. You got your pounded cabbage just dripping with good old brine. Cool, lots of water in there. Awesome. That's what we want because apparently we want it to be covered. Now, again, that looks great. Okay, so let me start my transfer here. So you want to put a little bit in, and then you want to pack it as you go. So I don't really know, I might just do one more scoop here. So I got my scoop in like so. Cool, and that's in my jar. Pack it in there. I got about that much there. And let me move this, clear out the way so I can put that pot there. Okay, looks like it was stealing my autofocusing. All right, so I got that. And then as you go, you just wanna pack it in as tight as you can. And again, that is gonna help get the brine, all those liquids, yeah, you can see it seeping up into it. You wanna get that going. Oh yeah, it's great. It's covered in water. Brine is soaking in there. Fantastic. Or as the Japanese would say, subarashii desu, which is like fantastic in Japanese. Okay, as I don't know what time it is for you guys right now, but in Japan, it is around almost 4 p.m. Okay, and let me just, oh yes, liquidy. Fantastic. I'm gonna fill this vessel up well. I'm amazed. Like, you guys saw how much cabbage was in there to begin with. Man, I can fit it all into this jar here. Okay. So where am I at here? And let's pound this in more so. And let me actually, because I can, zoom in a little bit so you guys can see a bit better. I can reach. That's convenient. Okay, so you want to press this down here. And got my cabbage. I could have done the other cabbage, I think. I don't have as much as I thought. Another thing I'm learning. Okay, let me just, I'm a bit of a visual freak. I'm going to move that over. And let me just get all this in here. Pour that brine in. Now let me have some fun as I am live and I have this set up. I'm going to try seeing if my iPad still has some battery here. I do. And let me cut to this cam, get this out of the way. Now you can see my pouring over here. Okay. Let me pour all that brine in. The more brine, the better, I imagine. And the more cabbage, the better. Oh, this might just be perfect for this jar. If it is, I'll write the ratios down and the size of jar I'm using. You want to have a little bit of space at the top for air and your topper, your follower up top there. But we're doing pretty good here. Now, apparently this needs to ferment for roughly 2 weeks at this stage. Okay, that's everything. Now, I didn't really do it, okay, as evenly. Let me get that out of the way now. Come back to here. All right, so back here. Now I've got all my cabbage. Oh, so much liquid in there. Pack it down. This fits in this cup absolutely perfectly. That is a shocker. I did not plan for that. As you can tell if you were watching this, I didn't seem to plan for a lot of random things, but anyways, this is all packed. I'm sure it could be packed a little bit better, but it's kind of very liquidy. I don't know if I'm supposed to add all of this brine to it, if that's enough, but anyways, that's a lot of water extracted from that cabbage. So here we go. This bottoms up. Let me take a look at this here. So that is the brine in there. Okay. Tons of brine. Okay. And now we're going to take this leaf right here, topper, and put it in there. So now I essentially want to cover up all that cabbage with this. Now this might even be too big. I think it is, to be honest. Let me just trim the edges to fit. I hope I don't just ruin this now, but I think that's good. I get rid of the side edges. Now you can also use, I got a fun tip to share with you in a sec. That part's a little bit bitter looking, but yeah, so what you're essentially wanting to do here is you want to top, keep all that cabbage in. Okay, and this will act like a seal, So all the stuff, as it begins to ferment and bubble up and compress, you want to have something to keep it all under the brine. And this leaf is a beautiful way of doing so. Let me cut back to this camera with my wet fingers. Yeah, so I'm just pressing this down. Okay, so that's kind of doing its job there. Now, luckily, I have these extra bits here. I'm going to double top it because I can at this stage. So let me just top that, top that. Yeah, that'll do. Pressing that down very well. Okay, and let me cut back to this camera here with my dripping finger. Okay, so as you can see, I got my topper in place, and that is to keep the bits from falling down there. Hopefully that's actually working. I see some bits already kind of coming up, but I think that was just from me doing my thing. Now, let me dry my fingers. I got my towel here. So I'm learning I need a towel rack. That's important. Okay, drying off the fingers. And now you want to add a weight on top. And this, I got a glass topper. It came with this. These are actually really expensive to order here. So if you don't have one of these, no worries. But let me just show you. I got a trick to tell you. So you want to put this on top to weigh down. I can see my brine coming up. And this is already too tall, actually. Got too much liquids. So I'm going to need to scoop some out, I believe, because I need to fit this lid on top to seal the deal, right? And I don't think I can without it oozing out. But that's a good thing. I feel like too much brine is probably a much better problem to have than not enough. So let me get my spoon and let me use another jar if I have. Oh, I do. Look at this. Shelves are convenient. Okay, I got another measuring jar here. Measuring cup. Actually, I might want to use that. So I'm going to use this bowl instead. So let me just scoop this brine out. Compress this down. Okay. Too much. Too much. Yeah, you want to definitely want to leave some space. But yeah, if you don't have a glass topper or a glass weight, apparently you can just chop. Like if you boil a rock even and it'll fit in your jar, you can use that to weigh it down. I might just keep that brine actually. But yeah, you can do that. But let me see if this fits. And look at that. We sealed it. I need to put another weight on top of this to keep it extra sealed. I will do that with the cabbage. But anyways, this here already looks absolutely much better. I'm just looking at my over camera. Might as well show you that too. Much better than my first attempt. I didn't actually have much brine because I didn't pound it or anything. But let's see if I can get a side angle. Kind of dripping a little bit. So I'll do that. But there you go. Everything, all the cabbage is under the brine, wrapped up with the topper, topped with a weight, and the lid fits. So that is all we want. That is great. So let me move this out of the way here. And I think that is our sauerkraut. So I'm going to do that. And yeah, if you don't have a glass topper, you can use chop like a boiled rock as it's like totally sterilized. I'm going to put that there. That'll weigh down it. It's like a nice head. Yeah, that'll weigh it down. You can also use a chopped like apple or onion, like another fruit. Why not? Or vegetable, because that's going to be fermented anyways. So yeah, it'll just add some more flavor. But anything heavy that's pure, not plastic or not metal, because those in an acidic environment, not so good. So yeah, that is the sauerkraut. And now, did I miss anything? Yeah, I gotta wait 2 weeks for this. It's gonna be bubbling throughout, so I'll be checking and releasing some air from time to time as all the acids and stuff are bubbling and carbon dioxide is getting released. Okay, so next is sourdough. Now the sourdough starter is only going to take a minute and it's going to be extremely simple, and basically all it takes is patience from this point on. So I don't need, what do I not need at this point? I'm just trying to clean up house here because I've been making a whole bunch of mess. This brine, I think I'm going to keep actually, because I think that's going to be rather useful. So I'm going to keep that. Move my salt. I don't need this pounder anymore. This spoon is now dirty. This I'm going to keep for the end for something special. Plus, it's just a cool looking fork. I'm going to keep this. And yeah, let me just clean up this pot here, and then we'll quickly make a sourdough starter. And again, if it works out, all the goodness. Okay, I'm just going to use a simple spoon because that's all I have at this point. Okay, I need to vacuum. So this spoon, all right, I'm just tidying up here for a quick sec. I don't need any of this here. Keep it, when you're fermenting, I guess you want to keep things as separate as possible, right? And clean. Okay, so here we are. And if you're just on, welcome. Again, leave me a message in the chat if you would be ever so kind. And let me know if things are working, because again, I don't know until I actually review this afterwards. So who knows? I'm just cleaning up house here. As you can see, my table was a bit messy, and I want to make it good looking for the sauerkraut or sourdough starter that we're about to make. And sourdough starter is the bacteria that you can use to bake breads, treats, other things you want, pancakes, which I'll be getting into once I learn how this all works. Now I'm just moving over to my kitchen, shaking out my towel because that's been rather important. And basically, I'm going to be using a rye flour to do this. Now, you guys can hang out with me for a sec while I arrange. Yes, as you can see, I'm going to be using a organic rye flour to make this sourdough starter. All right, and most people use wheat flour, but yeah, we'll see what happens with this. Apparently this works too. So let's figure out if that's the case. Okay, so let me go back here. I'm going to be using a sterilized jar and this elastic that's on my wrist, some measuring cups, all you need. And I think that's all. I'm going to also be using this fancy towel I got from a fish shop recently, who was kind enough to give that to me as a gift. And let's move that there. Okay, and set. Dun, dun, dun. All right, so welcome to the beginning of the start of a sourdough starter. Now again, I have never made this before, so we're gonna find out if it works with this rye flour. Now the thing is, this rye flour expired last month. It was in the cupboard for quite a while, but we'll see if it works. Usually you wanna use fresh stuff for fermentation, I believe, but today we're gonna be using this. Okay, so if you were just for the sauerkraut, we just made the sauerkraut, which hopefully worked out. It looks good. I am, again, going to keep my eye on that for the next 2 weeks, and hopefully it doesn't go sour. Well, hopefully it does go sour, but in a good way. All right, so I got my instructions here. So I want half a cup of flour, 62 grams. And because I have this food scale here, I'm going to use it. 62 grams of flour. Okay, let's do that. And let me just, might as well tare this beast. All right, so this thing is 700 grams, tare. I don't know if that's how you pronounce that word, but I'm gonna start scooping in my flour. So I got my, again, my rye organic flour. And let me see if I can open this up without scissors. Whew, I got some sprayage. Let me try that. Yo. All right, I got a spoon. And let's start going for 62 grams. Or I actually have measuring spoons here. So let me find a half cup. Half cup. Okay. Let's do that. I'm going to fill this up here. Yeah, I'm going to try not to make a mess, which is not, which typically happens when I'm doing anything revolving flour or powdery substances here. Okay, so half a cup. Let's see if my recipe book was correct on the gram ratio of a half a cup of flour. And if my food scale is. So anyways, oh, I'm making a mess. Okay, that's it, hey? Half a cup. Really simple, straightforward, not much in there. So let me go. You got half a cup of flour right there. And in the jar, you go. Okay, and that is apparently only 51 grams. So let me add more. 62 grams. Okay, let's just stop at 62. Let me just add another scoop, and that's 68. Close enough. 63, even closer enough. Okay, so there we go. That's my rye flour there. And this, again, is simply just going to ferment all by itself. And it's going to turn into a sourdough starter. And I'm going to try to make some simple bread. So there's literally 2 ingredients. Now I simply just need to add half a cup of water and mix well for air and cover. And repeat that process for every 12 hours. Yeah, okay, so I got this. I got my measuring cup here. And let's fill her up with half a cup of water. This, I like this. This is very, very simple. Half a cup, hey? Okay. I got my fancy big old water jug here. And let's stop. Where's half a cup? Half a cup. I'm definitely not a baker or a cook much, but that's half a cup of water right there. All right. And let's add it to our flour. Add it in. Boom. Now, apparently, we just want to mix that in very well. Get some air in there. And we literally just leave this out, apparently. Oh, look at that creaminess. Yeah, mix it up good. Now, about a year ago, my wife was consistently making sourdough. She would be doing this and always refilling the water and the flour. And it was beautiful. I won't lie. I loved the smell of the house every time she would bake on the, pretty much once a weekend. On the weekend, she would bake up a fresh loaf of sourdough. And it was always an exciting day. Coming out of the oven, get some good stuff going out there. Let me get rid of that so you can see a little bit more in the front. Okay. Get some nice butter on there. Oh boy, special treat day. Coffee and sourdough. Okay, so I think I've whipped that up well enough. And that's literally all there is to it. Sourdough starter. Flour and water, folks. Okay, and now you just want to, I guess a rubber spatula would be nice to have at this point. But yeah, you just mix it up. And then apparently you just let it sit. It's going to start bubbling and fermenting. And then every 12 hours, you want to add another half cup of flour. Look how pro I am. I'm just reading my notes. And cover cloth. Yeah, you just want to cover it with a cloth and a rubber band. And every 12 hours for the next 3 days, you're just going to be adding another half a cup of flour and a half a cup of water to your vessel. And that's all there is to it. So let me just try to empty as much off of this spoon as I can. You would definitely want to get some rubber spatulas to do that up. That's what my wife was using for a good reason. But again, I am totally new at this and first time doing all of this live, first time doing that live testing, first time running this studio in this capacity here. And I just built this, put this together. I want to do a lot more actual nutrition workshops, more organized, don't worry, and a lot more cooking, just recipe experiments. My family wants to eat specific foods they crave. I'm a nutrition, what do you call, health, nutritional nut, you could say, that every time they're like, oh, I want a cookie. It's like, oh, what's a healthy cookie? How can I make that? I want bread. Well, sourdough, that's the healthiest thing I can think of in terms of bread. I just want to provide you with ideas of how to feed those cravings the healthiest way possible and help you understand how nutrition works and how your body works. And yeah, carry on from there. Share the art of fermentation as I learn it and have a lot more fun with that. So again, if you are watching, thanks a ton. I've gotten 0 comments. I'm just going to say thank you. Again, sorry, I need to refine as I go. My setup here. I have my computer on a chair. Oh, live chat. Look at that. I'm learning the whole system, guys. Sorry, I'm not perfect doing this at this point. I am, but you know what? You got to start somewhere, and you got to start with something, and this is that. So I'll get better. Okay, I got some more flour on here. I might as well not waste it. I'm just gonna sprinkle that on top. Probably a no-no. I don't know. Got that. It's getting darker out there. Let me just mix that last little bit in there. Okay, so that is the sourdough starter and the sauerkraut. And again, 2 weeks, if that works out, you're gonna get a proper video on how to do that. This, I'm gonna be feeding it every 12 hours. And if I can bake a good loaf out of this, I will let you know how that goes. How does that smell? I like to smell things. What do you say? Okay, so that is good. That smells like bread or flour and water. So now let's cover this up. Seal that deal, just like so. Okay, so now you just want to put a cloth. And again, I got this totally fishy thing. Just to keep the bugs out of there and give it some air. It's like a full-on blanket. That might actually be good, actually, letting the light in. Apparently, if it's colder or like darkness and more controlled temperature is best with this kind of thing. And yeah, when it's colder, it ferments slower, but you get more flavor. The flavor builds more, apparently, with sauerkraut at least. I don't know much about the whole sourdough aspect. So anyways, here's my present. So sourdough starter, sauerkraut. That's what we've made today. And hopefully it works out because I really love sauerkraut. I really like that. And that is that. And I really want to make some sourdough for everyone. So hopefully this works out. Again, if you stuck around with me, thank you for your patience and your cooperation here as I'm learning. So that was fun. And seems like everything worked out here. So dun-da-da, got that. And what was I going to do? Yes, I wanted to share. Okay, so again, I made this probably like a month ago. And I used old cabbage, no. But anyways, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't refer to anything. And it actually smells okay. Again, if you want to see it up close, that is what it looks like. Not very appetizing, to be quite honest with you. But I do want to taste it because I've been waiting patiently for a while. And again, it doesn't smell brutal, but that's what it is. That's what it looks like. Okay. And I'm going to go here and might as well do it live. In all honesty, it's not terrible. But it kind of tastes like a shoe. And that's not what I'm going for. So, right here is going to taste much better. But if I don't get terribly ill, I will see you all very soon. Again, thanks for watching. And yeah, I'm going to be learning how to do this fermentation thing far better in the future. So stick around for that, and I'll be sharing the tips I learn along the way. Thanks again. Now, I'm learning how to end a stream. My first live stream to end. End.